Live in a constant state of fear and misery.
All right, I'm gonna take the soundboard no.
Nope.
So, what's going on with the Bank of International Settlements? These guys. All right, what's going on?
Well, after shitting on Bitcoin for many years now, because he's all butthurt that it upsets the order of things, the head of the BIS is now saying that central banks will likely soon need to issue their own digital currencies, and that the BIS is actually supporting a few central banks' efforts to research and develop them in the near future. He even said pretty much that arrival of such products might just be around the corner if there is a clear market demand for them. And I think the real interesting thing here is just the timing and how this coincides with what's going on with Facebook and Libra being pitched. That all of a sudden, this institution is just about facing and pushing for something or trying to hint at something that a large number of central banks have already reached the conclusion themselves that doing would completely upset the entire structure of the financial system and just how liquidity flows through it and debt functions. That would just destabilize everything. But now that Facebook has come out with Libra, all of a sudden that attitude has completely shifted. Like, oh, we might need to do this ourselves to compete. Like if people want something like this. And it's interesting to see the timing when you juxtapose those two events and just how that flip came to be situationally. Like it's really interesting the attitude difference based on the perceived threat that institutions like this see in something like Libra versus Bitcoin when the reality is almost completely inverted.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, I guess they eventually had to come around on understanding this thing a little bit. And I guess it did take Facebook with a billion, supposedly billions user base to say, like, oh, wow, if somebody just like created something that their user base would use, then, that could be a real problem for us. And, they look at Bitcoin and they don't really see much of a user base there, I guess. And so they never really got that freaked out. But now, yeah, they're a little freaked out. And yeah, I guess they should be. And it's all right, though. I mean, we know that it really can't compete. I mean, we've seen the St. Louis Fed do their research on like the reason why a central bank digital currency would be a bad move in this big game of game theory with cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin. So yeah, it'll be I don't know. This whole Facebook launch thing has definitely ruffled some feathers. You guys, Janine Nopar, got a comment on this?
Yeah, just a little bit of nostalgia here that it's huge news that Facebook, large company is creating a shitcoin. And I just remember that in 2014, there was a shitcoin that was created by some random small company, and that was the big thing. Wow! Finally, a altcoin is created by someone who is company behind it, so it's gonna be good. Then I bought in, and the exchange went away with my money. But oh well.
Does anybody remember when it was just like us arguing about why businesses weren't taking our Bitcoin yet?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Not dealing with all of these concrete examples of global politics.
Oh yeah. It's crazy to me how we can report on geopolitics within Bitcoin on a regular basis whenever, yeah, back in the day, it was like, you were a little jazzed to see like some bad news about Bitcoin just because the press was reporting on it. It was so, now it's just like, yeah, you got blaring examples from major corporations, trying to put their hands in this game. It's
Yeah.
crazy in comparison.
it's also interesting from a personal development point of view. For example, in university, I was so ignorant I didn't even know who was the prime minister of my country. And with Bitcoin, uh, well, no entities really cared about Bitcoin back then. So, well, I got into Bitcoin. I started to research, and as the years progressed, more and more larger entities, government entities, and companies started to fiddle with cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, and this is how I started to get familiar with what the hell is going on in the world. It's really interesting to see it from that perspective. That yeah, I probably very biased because I learned everything from a Bitcoin lens, but well, it's probably better than that I wouldn't know anything.
Yeah, it's just crazy to think about.
Jeez, man. Yeah, it's yeah, like you're saying. I mean, whenever I was looking into this, it was like we're saying, it wasn't nobody talking about it, and it was very, very interesting in 2017. It kind of all took off there towards the early mid part of it, and it was really kind of a wake-up call for me where it was like, oh shit, this experiment is moving out of this experiment phase. And yeah, go ahead.
Or also the money that you don't really have any conception of what's the difference between $1 million and $1 billion. It's almost like the same, except when you live through that Bitcoin goes from $1 million to 10 million market cap and 100 million, and then you can see what's really going on. Then you can see when there is a news in somewhere, random news, that hey, 500 billion went into this project. Yeah, Bitcoin got into 500 billion too, so it's not that big money. So you have perspective. You can compare the big news to Bitcoin's market cap. It's interesting.
Yeah, this perspective we're at is definitely dizzying from where we were. And yeah, I guess there's some guys like Facebook trying to jump out on the top roof level where we are, and it'll land them in trouble. So yeah, it looks like it did, and they're in some more hot water. So what is going on with Libra coin?
Well, yesterday a screenshot of a letter supposedly from Congress started circulating from Pomp, and it turns out to actually be legit. It's posted on the Financial Services House.gov site now. But Maxine Waters actually did it. The opening paragraph of a letter from the Financial Services Committee to Facebook is, "We write to request that Facebook and its partners immediately agree to a moratorium on any movement forward on Libra, its proposed cryptocurrency, and Calibra, its proposed digital wallet. It appears that these products may lend themselves to an entirely new global financial system that is based out of Switzerland and intended to rival U.S. monetary policy and the dollar. This raises serious privacy, trading, national security, and monetary policy concerns for not only Facebook's over 2 billion users, but also investors, consumers, and the broader global economy." Like this is that is the opening paragraph of a committee in Congress telling Facebook, no, stop.
Wow.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, and I like this is exactly what I was saying. Like no para with like the reason something like this is a perceived threat has nothing to do with the technology. It's how it functions economically. And like they even bring up in the letter like their issues with holding data privately, like the Cambridge Analytica scenario, the fact that they're still under an order um, under the FTC for a violation. They owe $5 billion in fines, likely is the estimate. for the reason they're under the order in the first place. Like this is literally exactly what I was saying. Like this is not happening because the government is in this climate, how they're looking at these companies and what they're going to see as the threat here. It's just not happening.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, it is crazy to see them send out this letter, but hey, you know what? They are finally starting to get it. I mean, this is two congressmen, or the other guy might have been a senator, but this is two, representative people within the United States government who have openly stated, like, this is a major part of the United States security, and this is a threat. And people are starting to understand that. I mean, whenever that senator or congressman said that a couple months ago, there was people coming into Bitcoin because they did not understand that was something that Bitcoin was trying to, actually intercede in. And, now they see it as some sort of option that can actually sort of, move away from that system. And, here it is again. I'm sure some more people are going to catch it. It's definitely, like we're saying, it's a dizzying level we're at where these government officials are just so openly admitting something they wouldn't do even, this time last year.
The irony is that this kind of puts us Bitcoiners into the same side as Facebook.
No, but dude, like, and this is the committee that oversees the entire financial services industry. So like this is the most potent little sub branch of something that could whack at Facebook, and they are, for exactly the reasons I laid out. Like it's like, here's the target. Like that everybody's worried about Bitcoin and where it's going, but they can't see a way to do anything about it. And then Facebook just, we can do something about this. And we're already really pissed off at you guys for a bunch of shit.
No kidding, right? Like, did you see just recently they announced, like they just openly announced, like it's totally their plan to manipulate the 2020 election. So, I mean, it's like, guys, you are just begging for regulation, man. You're begging to be broken up. I mean, this is things that are all supposed to be inalienable rights as citizens of the United States that you are totally just capturing and moving forward with. It's kind of a nonsensical position as far as like somebody that wants to actually maintain a business structure that they can work with. I mean, it just seems like this is headlong into something that they should be standing against. I don't know.
Also, this is the same kind of rhetoric regarding the part about, this will impact, the hegemony of the US dollar and therefore US national security. This is the same kind of thing that, what was it, Sherman? I can't remember. Yeah, Brad Sherman, I think, was it the guy who was saying the same thing about a month or two ago about Bitcoin. The difference is that Bitcoin doesn't have anything that you can send a letter to saying, please stop this, you're going to harm the supremacy of the US dollar. Whereas Facebook, they release a white paper, the network is not even up, running, or done, and they've already been sent a letter. So like I've said before, if your cryptocurrency or whatever you're building, if you can basically get sent a letter and that could destroy your project, then it's not interesting to me in terms of censorship resistant money.
Absolutely.
I think the US government should put Satoshi behind bars. And we all know who Satoshi is.
If he gets put behind bars, it's going to be for being a whiny crybaby in courtrooms. Like,
wait, put the NSA in jail? Yeah, let's do it.
That too.
All right. Yeah.
You see, I'm
very because the NSA made Bitcoin. Get it?
Yeah, I got it.
Yes,